Cynthia Koledo DeAlmeida, principal oboe of the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, with a world premiere by Alan Fletcher, written just for you and the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Very exciting to work with a living composer and a person whom I was friends with when he was the head of the School of Music at Carnegie Mellon University, where I teach. It's very rewarding.
When did the idea of having a concerto come together?
About 4 years ago, the Pittsburgh Symphony asked me if I would like to have Alan write me a concerto, and I said yes. And then he and I spoke on the phone, and because I have some experience with commissioning, and because I have a relationship with Alan already, I was rather forthright in explaining. I said, Alan, do you want to know what I like and what I don't like? And he said, yes, of course. And he knows I'm going to tell him anyway. So I said, I don't want it to be too long. More than 20 minutes. If it's too long for an oboe to play, I should have time in between to rest the lips, because it's a very tight embouchure and you have an endurance problem. I said I don't like technically fast things that are for no reason, if there's no musical reason, just to show off how fast you can play notes, or so high or so low for no musical reason. And I said in particular I'm drawn to Irish music and English music. And I did tell him, in particular, I love lilting rhythms of triplet figures, 6/8, 12/8 meters. And I said I love when a composer uses the instruments in the orchestra to play solos along with the soloist. I love that. I think the ear gets a different, more variety than just hearing the one solo instrument all the time. And the best orchestrators, think of John Williams, his orchestrator for his music. We know, most people know the movie themes. You hear beautiful horn solos, cello, violin, trumpet within the bigger orchestra, and that's what I love to hear in a concerto. And he did all of that in my piece.
How long is the piece? Movements, titles?
20 minutes. It's just entitled Concerto for Oboe and Orchestra, but each movement has a title, in particular the second movement. And in classical music, the second movement of a concerto is almost always the slow one, the one that you hope you will go home humming, and that make the hairs on your arms rise a little. But in particular, when I told him that I liked Irish music, I said, actually, Alan, I'm obsessed with Danny Boy. He said, why? I said, well, there were 7 children in my family, only one boy. But Eddie, my brother Ed, was only born the 6th of the 7 children. So when there were 5 of us girls, my father had a beautiful baritone voice, and he sang many songs, but he would put us to sleep at night with Danny Boy, even though he didn't have a boy yet. And I never forgot that. And I've been obsessed with Danny Boy my whole life, and collecting different versions of it. And my son is named Danny. We have no Irish blood. We're completely Polish, and his father is Brazilian. But his name, I told God, if you give me a son, his name will be Danny. And it is. And so guess what? I opened the music, and you can't see it in the music because Alan's so clever. He put the melody of Danny Boy very low, in the lowest register of the oboe. And he told me it's my father singing to me. And it doesn't look like it's typical Danny Boy, but it sounds like it. So when people of the Western world hear this concerto and know that song, it doesn't sound like it from the beginning. You're just listening to beautiful music. Then when it comes, all of a sudden, that's what music can do for you. You have a connotation in your head of having heard that before, a memory. In Portuguese, they call saudades, which is hearkening back to some other time, nostalgia or something. And I get goosebumps just saying it.